life, the universe wants you to think you have free choice, okay? Free will. So the universe will offer you door 1, 2, and 3. You take door 1, you go through it, you get married, you have a couple kids, you get divorced. Where are you going to be? In front of door 1, 2, and 3. Most people are creatures of habit. What do? They take door 1 again. They go through it, they get married, they have more kids, they get divorced a second time. Where are they going to be again? In front of door 1, 2, and 3. If you learn the lesson you were supposed to learn, unconditional love, money and balance, whatever that lesson was, you're not taking door 1 again. You're going to take door 2 or door 3. And you may still get married and have more children, but it's not going to end in divorce the way the first 2 did, because you learned that lesson. You'll know you're in a karmic relationship, and it doesn't matter whether it's a loving relationship with, lovers, or whether it's friends, but you'll know it's a karmic relationship because
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Shifting Dimensions podcast, where we explore the unseen, the unknown, and the transformative moments that shift our understanding of reality. I'm your host, 𝐄𝐻𝐫 Moses, spiritual seeker and metaphysical investigator, exploring the mysteries of existence. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with psychic medium 𝐂𝐻𝐫 Edwards. She had been on the show before, but I had to have her back because she wrote a very important book that I want us to get into today. But before all that, let me just refresh your memory on who she is. She's the creator of the Relationship Mastery Program, where she teaches people how to shift their energy, master the 5 love lessons, and attract the love they truly desire. Her latest book, All's Fair in Love and Karma, which we will be diving deep into today, explores the soul lessons we come here to learn. Today, we're going to dive deep into those 5 love lessons so that we can have a better understanding of how these love lessons can help you transform your relationships and your life. That was a mouthful. I really want the audience to know who you are, June. Thank you so much for joining me back on the show. Welcome.
oh, thank you for having me back. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. And earlier before we started, I said that this is timely because we are recording this the day before Valentine's Day, and we know that relationships really rule our lives, especially our romantic relationships. A lot of people have so many questions surrounding that and deal with that on different levels. And what I love about your book is that you answer key questions that a lot of people have, and some of them, which is why do I keep attracting the same types of people over and over again? Why is this person in my life, even though they make me miserable? Etc. So we're going to talk about all of that. But I want to start off by asking, why did you decide to write All's Fair in Love and Karma?
So I created the relationship mastery program first because, as a psychic medium, a lot of people go to them to find out about their relationships and their love life. That's the number one thing people would come to me for. And I just kept hearing that I need to create a program for it. So I created a program. And honestly, it was divinely created because the program has incredible results. I only work with one person that's having issues in their romantic relationship. And the success rate, if they finish the program, quite honestly, was 100% as far as changing someone's life. And if they were supposed to still be with that person, whether it was a separation or a divorce, it reunited that relationship stronger than it was originally. And if they weren't supposed to be with that person because it was a karmic relationship, they knew that. And they were able to let it go and attract in the person that they were supposed to be with. So it's really an amazing result. But what I learned from putting hundreds of people through this program was that everyone going through it had to work on one or more of the same 5 lessons. And these are soul lessons. So, we are souls. We're not the suit that sits here. We are the energetic being inside. And we came here for a bunch of different reasons, on top of having a little mini vacation and having fun, which people forget. But we came here to solidify and learn the lessons that our soul needs to learn in order to upgrade itself, basically, on the other side when you're in heaven, to really, align with what it is who you're supposed to be as far as your soul goes. And some people needed one or more of the lessons. Some people needed all of the lessons. But everyone learned all of these 5 lessons by going through my program. And it was only a 7-week program, believe it or not. But, it teaches someone how to change their energy, because the reality is this: we're like magnets. We are energetic beings, and we're like magnets. So we're always attracting or repelling at any given time. So everyone that's in your life is on the same energetic frequency that you're on right now. And if you're on a lower level frequency and you're attracting people that are on that a lower level, that maybe they drink too much, maybe they're doing drugs, maybe they're lazy and they don't want to work, all of this, and you don't want to be around that anymore. When you raise your vibration, those people drop off because you don't resonate with them any longer. If you can picture a piece of thread, you're not on that thread any longer, and they'll drop off first. And when you raise your vibration, you'll start bringing in everything that's on that higher vibration. So maybe it's people that work longer, maybe it's people that don't drink, maybe it's people that have better jobs, maybe it's people that live in love and abundance, because that's where we're all supposed to be, on that higher vibration, living in love and abundance.
And this is all very fascinating. I think we're going to get deeper into the people we attract in our lives and the different types of relationships we come across. But you said something interesting that you only worked with people, like one person from the couple.
Correct.
Why is that?
So if anybody's been to a marriage counselor, they'll understand why. You have two separate people and you have one in the middle, and they're all going to think that you're working with the other person and take sides. And you're not going to accomplish anything. All you're going to do is have people fighting even more and more, and send them home with work, and they're just going to fight some more. So when you work with one person, it only takes one person to make or break any situation in life. Okay? Because for every action, there's an equal or greater reaction. So when you do something differently, the other person has no choice but to do something differently, because the same old thing doesn't work anymore, does it? So when you change, the whole entire dynamic changes. And when you understand why the things are happening in your relationship that are happening, you understand the why behind it, it's very easy to change your action and not become triggered by the other person. Because the other person really just wants to interact with you. Good, bad, or indifferent, they want to interact with you. Because seriously, there's passion there. There wouldn't be passion if there hadn't been love there at some point in time, right? And the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is fear. And they're fear. They're in fear. They're fearing it's going to end. They're fearing my life is going to change. There's a lot of fear there. But when you understand what's happening, you don't have that fear. And because you don't have that fear, it's going to lessen their fear as well. And the whole entire dynamic of the relationship starts to change. And if you're meant to be together, you will be together and much stronger, because as your vibration rises, everyone's on that same thread that's in your life. They're either going to raise their vibration to meet yours and want to know what you're doing differently and start doing it themselves, or they're going to drop off because they don't belong with you.
Mm. And that's what I love because I think everyone, as they're listening to this, you could probably think of moments in your life, throughout your life, where you've lost certain friends, you've lost certain relationships, and you were thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know why I'm losing these people. But if you look at those moments, you see that you yourself changed and you are no longer in resonance with those people. Or if you changed, some of those relationships got stronger. So I like that you're bringing that up. Before
Or
we
they
get it,
changed. It's possible
mm,
that they changed and you
okay.
were at a higher resonation already, and maybe they started drinking heavy or getting into drugs, or maybe that's what happened and they changed, so their resonation dropped.
Okay, that makes sense. There's so much nuance here.
Yeah,
So I think obviously before we get into the meaty stuff, which is the soul lessons or love lessons, and I'm gonna ask you why you distinguish between soul or love lessons, or if
it's
they're
the
to,
same.
or if they're the same.
Your soul is pure love. It really is. It's energy and it's pure love.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So before we get into that juicy stuff, because I know the listeners probably want to know what are the lessons, I want to talk about the different types of relationships,
Relationships. Okay.
because you outlined three of them in your book, and I would love to kind of
Right.
talk about those.
Yeah, so there's only three types of relationship. There is a karmic relationship, and a karmic relationship is literally you owe someone something from a past life, or they owe you, and you're collecting. So you create karma in this lifetime when you do something to someone else that you do not make amends, or you have no remorse, because sometimes you can't make amends, but you have no remorse either. Then you owe that person a karmic debt in the next lifetime. And it's not a bad thing, because everything that's happening in life, it's never happening to you. It's always happening for you, for your highest and best. So let's just say in a past lifetime you stole money from somebody. Doesn't mean they're going to come back in this lifetime and steal money from you. Maybe they're going to teach you the value of money and how money works. Maybe they're going to become your boss, or business partner, something like that. It's always to help you learn your lessons or for them to learn theirs. There's nothing bad about karma. Okay. So you'll know you're in a karmic relationship, and it doesn't matter whether it's a loving relationship with, lovers, or whether it's friends, but you'll know it's a karmic relationship because it never feels quite right. There's always something off and you can't quite figure it out. You're always looking for the red flags or waiting for that other shoe to drop. And when one or the other has learned their lesson, a karmic relationship ends immediately. It's like you wake up the next morning and you ask, why do I even have this person in my life anymore? It's done because the lesson was learned. Then you have soulmates. Soulmates are also there for you to either teach a lesson or learn a lesson with the other person. But depending on what you wrote for your life plan, it doesn't have to end when the lesson is learned. Soulmate relationships can last a lifetime if that's what you wrote into your life plan, and you can spend your whole lifetime teaching each other the lessons and reinforcing the lessons that you need to learn. And those are the ones that feel the best. You meet somebody and you feel like you've known them forever. Soulmates. And then you have twin flame relationships. And there's a lot of misinformation about twin flames because of the movies and the books that came out, the Notebook, things like that. Twin flame relationships are very rare. There's only a few 100,000 of them on the planet at any given time. They have a higher calling. They're literally here to help humanity and save humanity. They are literally one soul that has divided into two and reincarnated into two separate bodies, and forever after will always remain reincarnating into two separate bodies. At some predetermined time in your life, if you have one, you will meet them. And at that point in time, your entire life will just blow right up, both of you. And you'll basically lose everything you've got. And it'll put you on the path that you're supposed to be on. Now, only one person will recognize that it's a twin flame relationship. The other person will not know what the heck went on, other than the fact that it was too much for them to handle and they can't be around you because it's so intense, and they'll just keep running away from you, basically. So that's where you come in with the runner and the chaser, because the one that recognizes it knows you're supposed to be together, and the other one is so afraid of you they can't get far enough away. So they're always extremely passionate, extremely sexual, extremely psychic, and they last for a very short time, from a few days to a few months. And when it splits, it's like they've just torn the heart out of your body, and forever after you're going to feel like no one else in your life will ever fit those shoes, or you'll be settling. And if you're both able to learn the 5 lessons that your soul needs to learn and get on the path that you're supposed to be on, helping humanity, you'll have an opportunity to reconnect in this lifetime. Otherwise, you'll have to wait till the next lifetime. And most of them do not get back together in this lifetime because one of the two is unable to wrap their head around everything they're supposed to be doing and get on their path.
I think I've said this to you before, but I used to struggle with the concept of the twin flame in general because I kind of felt like there was this whole thing of everyone has a twin flame, and I used to see a lot of fanaticism around it. I remember in college I had a huge crush on someone, and I went down a rabbit hole, and I was like, oh, this might be a twin flame connection that I'm feeling. It was not that. But the point I'm trying to make is that I think what puts me what makes me feel like what you're saying might be more true or align with it better is this idea that there's not that many, they're very rare. But what also intrigues me is that if twin flames are one soul who split into two to manifest into two separate bodies, then why is there such a clash when they come back to each other, when they cross each other's paths?
So it's a mirror, basically. They mirror everything that's missing within you. So you
Mm.
trigger each other completely. Big time. Big time triggers.
Okay,
Okay.
and it's more intense than regular triggers from a karmic relationship, for example.
Extremely, extremely. It's a karmic and a soulmate on steroids. It's really hard to explain the intensity and the heartbreak that goes along with it. It's beyond grief. It really is.
So when you're working with people and they come to you with issues in their relationships and stuff, are you taking a look at their Akashic records to kind of see what their soul plan was?
So Akashic records don't tell you what your soul plan is. Akashic records go into your past lives to tell you who you were, if someone else was in your life in a past life, why you're bringing certain traits through into this lifetime, those types of things. But it doesn't tell you what your soul plan is in this lifetime. There are other ways to determine that, but the Akashic records is not one of those.
Okay, so I guess the second question to that is, do you do any sort of reading to take a
I
look at
do.
their soul plan? Okay.
Yeah, I do. So I don't do that, however, until I think the third or fourth week. I wait until after their energy is shifted. So the way the program works, it's a 7-week program. It takes 3 or 4 weeks for your energy to shift. So people that teach the law of attraction, they teach you how to shift your energy, and then the law of attraction kicks in, but they don't teach you how to maintain it. So because everything in the universe has to stay in balance, once you've attained it and you're that high, you can't maintain it. You crash, you lose everything. So what I do is I teach people how to balance that energy so it's maintainable. So they shift after 3 or 4 weeks. It's like pulling them off of the ceiling. They understand what it's like and where they need to be. And then I teach them how to balance their energy. And once they've done that, I'm able to actually start doing, I do a destiny card reading, which is the card of the Magi. And that looks into their life. And I can tell them, the person that's in their life, why they're in their life, who they are to them, who they were in a past life to them, and whether or not they are going to stay in their life, and if they are, in what capacity. So I can give them a lot of information in regards to that.
Okay. That makes sense because given that you're a psychic as well and you're very tapped into the spiritual aspect of life, relationships have a very high spiritual component. So I assume that, if you're helping people, you're also getting additional insight from their higher
Absolutely.
self or spirit realm as
Absolutely.
well. Okay, so let's get into the juicy stuff, right? You said that with the work that you started doing in 2018, you realized that there was a recurring theme of 5 different lessons. Can we get into those lessons?
So the first lesson is self-worth. And I think it all starts there, to be honest with you. Self-worth is not value, because that's what other people place on you. Self-worth is understanding that you are so important, that you are the only one of you in this entire world. Imagine how important you are, that God put you here. You're here for a reason. And it's not selfish or narcissistic, as society would like you to believe, to put yourself first. It's where everything else comes from. If you don't put yourself first and take care of you first, you're not going to be here to take care of anybody else, are you? You just won't exist. And no one has any kind of power over you. I can't look at you and say, hey, I want you to love me. I want you to care about me. I want you to be my best friend. It doesn't work that way. You are responsible for your own feelings. You are responsible for your own happiness. No one else can make you happy. And once you make yourself happy, then that happiness flows back and forth, and it's like a ping pong. And you attract other people that are happy into your life as well. That same energetic thread. Then you have trust and communication. And you have to trust that, first of all, there is a higher power. I don't care what you call it, Buddha, Jehovah, God, doesn't really matter. Energy source, source energy, I call it source energy. There is only one. There's 176,000 Christian religions in the world, and everybody thinks that their religion is, this is God's word, there is nothing else. But it's been overly interpreted 1,000 times over and changed constantly. So barely any of it is left of the original word. They're stories, and they're stories with morals and values, and they're there for a reason. And every religion is right and every religion is wrong. But if they're teaching you to love, to help each other, that there is a God, then you're on the right path. Okay? Because there is only one. And you have to know that, and you have to trust that, and you have to know that you're loved, you're protected, there's a purpose for you, there's a reason you're here. Okay. You also have to trust that whatever's happening in your life, if you don't like it, you've got nobody to blame but you because you made this plan. And if you're very stubborn and you refuse to stay on your path, the universe will step in and put you back on your path. And those are the things you may not like. So, for instance, if you're supposed to move to California and take a job out there and you're living in Florida and you're like, I don't know anybody out there. I don't want to go out there. Well, the universe is going to make darn sure you do go because that's where you're supposed to be. They might burn your house down and that's going to be terrible going through it. But hindsight's 2020. You'll be able to look back and say, wow, if that hadn't happened, this wouldn't have happened, that wouldn't have happened. The universe will keep you on your path. And then you have communication. You have to be able to communicate to other people your wants and your needs. Because we don't have osmosis. Everybody doesn't read minds as well as I do. They don't know what you want or what you need. So you have to be able to verbalize that. And sex is nothing more than communication and trust in the bedroom. If you can't do it outside the bedroom, you won't have it inside the bedroom. It's that simple. Then you have unconditional love. That's very difficult for a lot of people. Too many people live in the drama. They look for the negative instead of the positive, and they live in fear. That's the reality. So you got married, you had a couple of kids, you got divorced. Okay, guess what? You have beautiful children out of it. You should be grateful and thankful to whoever it was that gave you those children because you couldn't have had them with anybody else. You don't have to spend your time with them. You can be grateful for the time you had together and send them on their way. Suppose you had a child that you loved unconditionally and they did something horrific, like they murdered a neighbor in a fit of rage and they went to prison for the rest of their life. You certainly don't like what your child did, but are you going to not love your child any longer? Unconditional love is very, very difficult, but it's one of the most important lessons we have to learn. And if you cannot learn it easily, the universe will keep making it more and more challenging for you to learn it. Maybe a drunk driver will kill your child. Are you going to hate that drunk driver the rest of your life? Or are you going to be able to look at it from an outside perspective and say, well, there's lessons everywhere. My son clearly wrote that into his life path that he wasn't going to be with us that long. There's lessons for the person driving the vehicle. There's lessons for the paramedics. There's even lessons for you. Again, unconditional love. You love your child. You don't have them in the physical form, but trust me, they're still around you all day long because they don't leave. They're around anytime you want to see them or talk to them, as long as you're not stuck in grief. If you're stuck in grief, they're going to be next to you stuck in grief. And that's not what you want for your loved ones on the other side. It's beautiful over there. You really want them to enjoy it. But unconditional love, it's difficult to practice. It's difficult to go through, and you have to constantly stop yourself and just let go of love. Let it go. Know that the higher power is taking care of it.
I think you touched on money balance,
Yep,
correct?
that's the next one, money and balance.
Yeah.
So, because everything in the universe is energy, everything in the universe also has to stay in balance. This is why you have good and evil, the night and the day, right and left, up and down. Everything has to stay in balance. So, money is energy. That's why it's called currency. And it's what we use in this lifetime to show whether or not your life is in balance. Suppose you're working 100 hours a week and you're saving your money. Your life is out of balance. You have no time for your friends, your family, your own hobbies. And then maybe you're just saving your money and hoarding your money and keeping it over here. Because it's energy, what you put out comes back even stronger. You cannot hoard your money. People that have no money wonder why they have no money. Oh, I can't seem to get ahead, blah blah. You have to know that you're meant to live in abundance. And you can't be afraid to spend that money. You have to know that when you spend it, it's coming back again. The universe will make sure that it does. I promise you it will. You just have to change the way you see things. It has to flow.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that you say that, when it comes to these lessons, we can look at them as soul lessons, we can look at them as love lessons, but y- looking at them through the lens of love, which I know, we can go back and forth with the soul thing, but I just want to look at it through the lens of love and romantic love specifically, especially when it comes to money and balance. Why is that a lesson that needs to be learned within a romantic relationship?
So let's look at it this way. You get married, you move in together. And usually the man makes more money than the woman. Okay. Well, you're living here now. You're going to have to pay 50%. Well, wait a minute. I only make $20,000 a year. You make $100,000 a year. Why am I paying 50% instead of 20%? Because he has fears of money. Okay. Realistically, if you love someone and care about them, whether it's the male or the female, if you're capable of financially supporting the other person, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Right? Why would you not spend money on someone that you love and care about? It's energy. You're putting energy into them when you do that. And when you don't do that, you're withholding energy, aren't you? Yep. So a lot of people misinterpret money and they interchange it. It's kind of like love, the same thing, right? And sex, right? If you're mad at somebody, oh, I don't love you anymore, or I'm not going to sleep with you anymore. I'm not going to give you any money anymore. It's all energy. It's all energy related. Okay. And these are the things that should flow freely. There shouldn't be conditions placed on any of that. I mean, realistically, when you're in a relationship, you maybe have one pot of money, but if it's not earned equally, it can't be, it has to be an equal exchange of energy. So it's not an equal exchange of energy if you're making 20,000 and they're making 100,000 and you each have to put in 50% of the mortgage, right? That's not an equal exchange.
Wow, I love how you broke that down, and it makes a lot of sense because, like you said, everything is energy, and if you are hoarding it, there's then you're creating stuck energy, which is in
An
turn creating
imbalance.
friction and
It's an
imbalance.
imbalance. Yeah.
Yes, of course.
It has to stay in balance.
So I have a question for you in relation to just how the other side views how human beings go about relationships, right? Because there's a lot of rhetoric out there where people say, well, human beings are not really monogamous, but we're trying to force ourselves to be monogamous and we're trying to force ourselves into these relationships and it's causing all this different friction. What does the other side think about monogamy, or do they think that's the ultimate form of relationship when it comes to romance?
So the other side doesn't look at it in any way, shape, or form,
Mm.
okay? Because they're no different than you and I. They're just souls, okay? We're all souls. And the reality of it is, we can make any plan we want to come here and live that experience. So if I wanted to come here and be a hedonist, okay, or a nudist, that's the experience that I chose that I want to experience while I'm here. For whatever reason, that's what I want to experience. Who am I to tell you that you shouldn't experience that? I just need to find someone that wants to experience what I want to experience so that I'm comfortable and they're on the same experiencing level that I'm on, because I'm not on that journey. That's their journey. No one says it's right. No one said it's wrong. It's their journey, and we're all entitled to be on the journey that we chose so that we can experience what it is our soul needs to experience while we're here. Because remember, when you come here, you're coming here for a lot of things. You're coming here, first of all, for a mini vacation, because when you're on the other side, you don't have a body and you can't experience things the same way as you can when you have a body. You can't taste things. You can only remember the taste, right? You can't have sex. You can only remember what it was like. So you come here for a little mini vacation. But while you're here, let's work on some of these karma things that we owe karma to a few people. We want to collect karma from a few people. I need to reinforce a couple of the lessons, my love lessons that I know, but I need to reinforce. And, I never really learned that unconditional love. Maybe I need to work on learning that unconditional love so that I can go to a higher level on the other side. Because that's what happened. Your soul goes to different levels based on how advanced it is. So that's why it's so important to learn these lessons.
Do you work with singles?
Yes, and
Okay.
and even in relationships, I only work with one person. I don't work with two. I also work with people in business that own businesses and want to know
Mm.
how to improve their business, because it's all about changing your energy, the law of attraction. And again, you're in relationship with your clients, with your customers, with your with your workers, right? You're in relationship with everybody. So, I started the program geared towards people having difficulties in their marriage, and it exploded to include everyone at this point.
Yeah, because a lot of the things that you see within romantic relationships, you can kind of project that into other areas of life. And I think
Well,
that's why you,
everything's a relationship. You're in
yes.
relationship with everyone and everything. And I'm heterosexual and I geared it toward heterosexuals, but I've had many, many homosexual couples, not couples, but people that were in homosexual relationship go through the program. And it works, it's the same for everybody because we're all just souls.
So what do you tell singles in particular who come to you who are looking for a relationship and they're just like, June, I keep recycling the same person with a different face. And
You
I,
haven't
I,
learned your lesson. You haven't learned your
mm,
lessons. That's the reality. Once you learn your lesson, you don't have to do anything except go out and have a good time and everything starts coming to you.
okay. And how do they typically receive that? Because I think sometimes I've also said this to friends and family members and even to myself, right? Where it's like, maybe I haven't learned a specific lesson, but sometimes is the lesson just simply choosing differently
No,
or
it's not. So that's the
mm,
whole thing. You don't choose. You don't choose.
okay.
You don't choose. You see what you attract, what the universe brings you. That's how it works.
So, but I've heard some people say in the manifestation community that when you're trying to up level and manifest something new in your life, the universe will test you by bringing something into your life that you're trying to get away from.
No, it
To,
doesn't work that. That's
oh, okay.
that's a
So
bunch of
that's
BS. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's all about, it's really about understanding that. And patience is the last lesson because everything comes to you when it's supposed to. You can't force it to come. You can't make it happen any sooner than it's supposed to happen. It happens when it's supposed to happen.
well, that
But
should,
you have to be ready. If you're not ready, you're just delaying it happening. They can't bring it to you if you're not ready.
or they might bring it to you, but you might,
They
it
cannot bring it to you if you're
really,
not ready. They will not bring it to you until you're ready. You have to be ready.
okay.
When you're ready.
I was just about to say when you said that, oh, it's BS that the universe doesn't necessarily test you that way. And I was like, okay, well, that should give a lot of people reprieve, meaning that, if they're supposed to meet their soulmate, they will meet their soulmate or the person that they're supposed to be with at the right time. But while that's true, you're also saying that if they're not
Ready,
ready,
they can't bring them because it's kind of like you're stuck at home, you're watching soap operas all day, you have no intention of going out, you don't get out of your pajamas, and the universe wants to bring you Prince Charming, and Prince Charming keeps knocking at your door and you're not even opening your door, so you're not ready. How can they bring them? They can't. You have to be ready for the universe to bring you what's meant for you.
okay. But then it makes me think about destiny. If I was on the other side before I came in and I was talking to another soul and I was like, you're the one I'm going to marry. Should it matter whether or not I'm ready if we've made that plan
Yeah,
together?
you both have to be ready. And it's not just about you.
Mm,
That's the other thing. It's not just about you. You get two people there.
okay. Well, I
Maybe
guess.
that other person is still going through his lessons. Maybe he's
Mhm.
still having his children. Maybe he's educating us. Whatever it is that his plan was, he's not ready yet for you.
So you could
This is
miss
where
out.
patient. You're not missing out on anything. You'll never miss out. The universe will make sure you never miss out.
So the universe will make sure you eventually get ready.
Well, you can delay it a long time, but that's up to you. Again, it's up to
Okay.
you. Again, if you don't want to get off the couch and get out of your pajamas and open the door, go outside, then you're not going to meet him because you've been standing on the sidewalk for 20 years.
So you could leave this life without meeting that person. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you could. Absolutely. You can delay it your whole life. The universe wants you to think you have free choice, okay? Free will. So the universe will offer you door one, two, and three. You take door one, you go through it, you get married, you have a couple kids, you get divorced. Where are you going to be? In front of door one, two, and three. Most people are creatures of habit. What do? They take door one again. They go through it, they get married, they have more kids, they get divorced a second time. Where are they going to be again? In front of door one, two, and three. If you learn the lesson you were supposed to learn, unconditional love, money and balance, whatever that lesson was, you're not taking door one again. You're going to take door two or door three. And you may still get married and have more children, but it's not going to end in divorce the way the first two did because you learned that lesson. This is how it works. So you can delay your lessons because that's why you're here for the lessons your entire life if you want to keep taking door one all the rest of your life.
So how can we tell the difference between I'm on the right path, I need to be patient, and the right things will come to me at the right time, versus I'm potentially delaying something? How can someone tell the difference? Because for someone like me who's a chronic overthinker, especially when it comes to making
And that's
decisions.
another big problem. You got to get out of your head because
Okay.
so you're here having a 3D existence, right? It's like an avatar. You're a soul in a body. You're playing a role. This is a movie, okay? And you're the actor. You have a brain in your head. Your brain's a massive computer. Some work better than others, right? Some have more chips than others. But your brain has a primary job. Your brain's job is to protect you. How does it do that? It does it by creating fear. So people get stuck in their head living their life in fear. Worst thing you can ever do. You cannot. You can't sit here and make your pros and con list because that's all about fear. You have to learn to get in touch with your soul so you have that knowing and you know this is what you're supposed to do. I know I'm supposed to stop at this restaurant tonight and have a hot fudge sundae on my way home from work. I just know it. And sure enough, you go in there and there's Prince Charming sitting in the booth waiting for you. Hey, here's your ice cream. So it's the knowing, and you have to learn to start trusting your soul. That's the knowing. And when you live your life that way, you will always be on the path you're supposed to be on and you'll be happy. You won't feel like you're missing out on anything because you're happy. You've learned to put yourself first.
So what I'm hearing you say, or the epiphany I had was because you said, things will fall into place at the right time. The universe will bring the things to you that you need, that you desire. But when you said that, if you're just sitting at home, not going out, not doing anything, then whatever is supposed to come to you could pass you by, could be delayed. So what I'm hearing is that, yes, you have to be patient and understand things will align for you, but you also have to continue to live your life and take action
You have
in
to
the
do your
direction that,
part.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
It's like the universe will always reach down for you, but you have to reach up first. Okay, will always bring you what you want, but you got to do your part. You can't keep saying, I want to meet the man of my dreams. I want to meet the man of my dreams. And then I never go out of my house. It's not going to be the UPS guy. I can guarantee you that. It's not going to be the mailman. You've got to get yourself out. You're asking the universe to bring you the love of your life. You've got to be out there so that they can put you two together.
Okay, I have another question that kind of ties into your vibration and the people you attract into your life. There's something you say in your book that basically emphasizes that, the universe is always working in your higher good. So sometimes you might think you've done all this work, and then for some reason you attract someone who kind of makes your life, I don't want to say miserable, but they seem misaligned at some point. They seem to align, but then you realize that
That's
soon that,
karmic relationship. Why are they there? Are you supposed to be teaching them or are they teaching you? There's a
okay, so
reason.
that's outside the boundaries of energy and vibration and what you're attracting to yourself.
Correct. If you have a karmic relationship coming into your life, whether it could be a coworker, maybe they put them at the desk next to you, and you just not getting along. No matter what you do, you try to be nice to this person. It's like you're like, you can feel the tension. What's the lesson? There's a lesson there. It's either for you or for them. The lesson isn't always for you. Sometimes you're supposed to be teaching them the lesson. What's the lesson? Ask yourself.
Okay, so just to clarify, right? Because I want to make this as like fifth grade level as possible. So all because someone is vibrating high and they're at a high frequency does not mean that they don't have additional karma, whether they're helping someone overpay their karmic debt or they still have to learn something themselves, does not mean that they're not going to experience karmic situations because that's just a function of life. I just want to
Correct.
clarify
It's
that.
part of, yeah, it's part of your plan. It's kind of like, oh, let's see, you're going along, you're driving along, you're listening to the radio, everything's great. Ooh, doo, doo. All of a sudden a ball comes across the road. Slam the brakes on, right? It was nothing that you did. It had nothing to do with you. It just came out of nowhere. And it happens. It's all part of, life is supposed to be a little bit of a roller coaster. It's supposed to be. It's supposed to keep you on your toes, supposed to keep you enlightened, keep you flowing. You're here once. You go around this road, you're here for a very short time. You
Yeah.
have to wonder, and ask yourself why these things are being presented to you, and I can tell you that they're lessons. They're not always for you. I have it happen constantly. I try to maintain my high vibration all the time, and I'll have people sneak in that are on the path of raising their vibration, but they can't maintain it, and they'll drop off. And I'm the bad guy because they went back to the level they were at before. I can't help them maintain it.
Yeah.
I can try, but I don't take that personally. I have to understand that I brought them in for a short period of time. There's a lesson that they need to learn. And they'll admit that they need to learn the lesson. They'll know that they need to learn the lesson, but they're not learning the lesson.
Mm. And that's a good point because I think about my life as well, and there's certain lessons where I know intentionally I've worked hard to learn. I could almost map it out like, oh shoot, this is what I need to learn. And it's fascinating because when you do this work, the deeper you go, the more you see the layers of the lessons, right? Because a lot of what we're talking about now with self-worth, money balance, trust and communication, I mean, these are overarching themes, but there's sub-themes underneath a lot of these.
Always reinforcing. That's the
Yes.
thing. They're reinforcing on every level, and they'll keep throwing something back at you to make sure that you've learned that lesson and to
Yeah.
reinforce that lesson. And patience is a really tough one. Everything comes to you at the time that it's supposed to come. It's very hard. We live in a world of instant gratification. Everybody wants everything now. They don't want to wait for anything. Okay, it's difficult, but if you want to settle in life, then the universe will bring you something to settle for. It's really your choice.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to go back to the point I was making and the point that you're making now is that I realize that when a lesson becomes chronic, when it keeps popping up in different ways, I know in my mind or how I've come to understand it is like, okay, I'm clearly not learning this lesson, so it keeps coming back and it's coming back with vengeance.
Maybe you're really good at that lesson, and you're teaching the people around you that need to learn it.
Okay, that
Because
could also be
again,
it.
it's not just about you, it's about them as well.
Wow.
And we're here to help each other. And if you got that lesson down pat, yeah. I mean, that was a big joke. I'm single. And for a long time, every person that I would go meet for a drink, I used to laugh. I'm like, that's the universe's joke. Everybody that I meet is on the verge of awakening, and I'm the missing link. And I would end up giving them my first book on, A Night on the Other Side, which teaches them everything I taught in mediumship and psychic development so that they could continue their journey. I'm like, oh, this is fun. Another, woohoo.
Yeah, and there's something else you said in your book as well that sometimes people come into your life for a purpose, but the purpose might not be clear at the very beginning. So we also have to be careful how we're judging these situations, especially romantic situations, not just looking at them constantly as lessons. So there was an example that you gave in your book that I really loved as well, which is the example with the lawyer and when you had real estate issues. Could you please share with the audience that
Sure.
story?
So I had met a guy on one of the dating sites, and he lived a little far away. And he drove all the way out, met me for breakfast. We had a great day. Started seeing him for a little bit, and it took me a couple weeks to realize he was still married. He lied to me. And when I found that out, I told him I wasn't going to see him any longer. He was very upset. Sorry, but when you start something out on a lie, it just goes downhill from there. And we stayed, I didn't have any animosity towards him. I didn't have any anger towards him. I was just very clear. I don't date married men. Oh, I'm separated. I'm this, I'm that. Well, I'm sorry. I don't date married men, separated men. I don't date them. That's against my preference. So fast forward like a year and a half, I'm trying to buy a house, and it was during the height of the housing market, and someone tried to steal the house from under me with a higher cash offer, and the seller was not going to honor the contract, and I was going to lose the loan, obviously. And I contacted him because I tried 3 or 4 other lawyers, and no one could do anything on a Friday. I had Friday, that was it. Friday was the deadline, drop dead day. And I contacted him, and he spent 3 or 4 hours with another attorney and put something together for me, and sent the letter to the seller and his realtor, and done deal. So now I know why I met him.
Yeah, and I love stories like that because, you meet someone and you never know what impact they are supposed to have in your life. And I think we're so quick to just kind of put them in a box. And I think sometimes the reason why I'm bringing that up is because as people are listening to this, it's not supposed to, I don't think you're supposed to be going through life categorizing people saying, oh, this person
Just live your
is
life.
just live
Just
your
live
life.
your life.
Yes.
You know, the other thing that happens a lot to me, because the universe will always make sure you're where you're supposed to be if you're listening to your soul. Okay. I met another guy for a drink one night, and the election starts coming on the TV and stuff, and we get into a little bit, and he's like, well, I gotta go. I'm like, okay. So the bartender's like, well, that was really quick, wasn't it? I had also, while I'm sitting there, I'm telling them what I do and that I work as a medium and a psychic as well. And he's like, I gotta go. I gotta pick my son up. I'm like, okay. So he leaves. And the bartender's like, well, that was really quick. I said, not a big deal. Don't worry about it. Guy at the end of the bar, I suddenly says, excuse me, I didn't mean to overhear your conversation, but did you say that you're a psychic medium? I said, yeah. I said, come on down, talk. He goes, well, I'm married. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna bite you for crying out loud. So he comes down, and it happened to have been a hotel bar that I was at, and he was from out. I said, are you local or from out of town? He goes, well, no, I live down in Miami. I said, oh, what are you doing up here? He goes, well, my best friend died. He goes, and I'm up here for the funeral. He goes, I didn't get to see him before he died. And I feel like such a loss. And I usually don't do this when I'm not working. I don't engage with spirits and souls from the other side, even though I see them. But clearly, this guy was put there to help this guy. So I said, listen, I said, there's a man standing next to you. And I described him right down to a T. He goes, oh my God, that's him. And I, facilitated a conversation between the two of them. And when he was done, he goes, "Can I hug you?" I'm like, "Absolutely." He goes, "Thank you so much." He goes, I'm just, I feel such at peace now knowing that he's okay." So yeah, the universe puts you where you're supposed to be. I wasn't there to meet the guy with the drink that was a jerk. I was there for the guy at the end of the bar that
Yeah.
needed some closure.
All right, so now I want to talk about manifestation, especially for the singles who are trying to manifest love into their life. There's so many things out there that says make a list. The universe is exact. It will give you everything you want.
So
Is that
yes,
true?
you want to. I have all of my students, and I do it myself, on a new moon. You want to get yourself a journal, and I have a great journal on my website, the Destiny Card Journal. Every new moon, you write down the 10 things, your 10 intentions that you want the universe to help you with. Whether it's a new job, a new car, a new love of your life, whatever it is, those 10 things, you write them down. And on the full moon, you get another piece of paper, you write them down again. And they might change a little bit because maybe some of them came too between the full moon and the new moon, right? And then you go outside, you fold it into a pyramid. You can do that in 3 folds. Take it outside, ask the universe and the angels to help you bring these things into your life and bring them to fruition, and burn it under the full moon. And I can tell you, I've had to keep coming up with things. I have a hard time even coming up with 10 anymore. I'm down to 8 because everything I've asked for, they keep bringing to me. And this is how it works. When you're working with the universe, they will bring you everything that you want when you're ready. The one thing they haven't brought with me is the love of my life, but I'm waiting. I'm patient, and because I know who it is. So when you know who it is, you have to wait for that person. If
Mm.
you just want anybody, they'll bring me tons. I mean, they brought me lots and lots to keep me busy.
Okay, so well, that's good to know. So again, kind of going back to the specific of things, right? So let's say I write a list of this is the type of person that I want
You
down
don't
to
even
the,
have to, no, 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 no. You don't even have to do that. You can just bring me the love of my life, bring me the person I'm supposed to be with. That's all you have to do.
but
You
what
know
if,
what you want. You
y-
know what you want. And they know you know what you want.
okay, but what if I get someone hypothetically where, and I'm just talking in general, not necessarily about me, but what if I want someone from my culture, for example,
Mhm.
and I meet an amazing guy, but he happens to not be from my culture, but he basically checks off everything else I want on my list in terms of
So
like
you
a
have
soul
to
person.
ask yourself if you're willing to settle for that. Because every relationship is built on compromise. Every relationship. You're never going to get 100% of what you want. You have to compromise somewhere. Even if that means you have to cook and he has to do the dishes, you're compromising on that. You're compromising somewhere. So you have to ask yourself. I mean, I've lowered my height from 5'11" to 5'9". You have to ask yourself, are you willing to compromise with that?
Okay, the reason I asked that question is because obviously I think sometimes with the conversations that we're having now, people get so stuck on the details of things where I know that in life, like you said, there's always something that's slightly off, that's not exactly perfect. So I was asking that question, I guess, to emphasize that like when we're manifesting, sometimes should we expect perfection or should we understand that
So you're going to get what's perfect for you is what you're going to get. And you may not
mm,
even realize that they're perfect for you.
oh, that's the key. Yeah.
Yes, because, even sometimes the person that you attract is absolutely different than what you thought you wanted. And once you get to know that person, you realize they're more perfect than you could have ever asked for.
Wow. So how does one not stand in their own way when they're presented with someone that is perfect for them, but they still are stuck in the thoughts of what
Get
they
out of your
expected?
head. Get
Mm,
out of your head. Listen to your soul and take it slow. Take it a day at a time. Stop putting so much pressure on everything. If it's meant to be, it's going to be.
mm. So this the what you talked about with the new moon and writing down stuff and manifesting, is that I know that helps that could potentially help accelerate things, but is that necessary if we're taking action and living our life day to day, but still setting intentions every day?
So the reason that it helps and I recommend it is because, there's a whole race of angels that are not human and their entire existence is to help you. So why not take their help? Why not ask for their help? All your loved ones on the other side, all your friends and soulmates that have gone before, they all want you what you want. They want you to be happy. They want you to have the best. They want you to have abundance. They want you to have absolutely everything you've ever wanted. And you got to be careful with that too, because you know you might want something today and you're asking for it and it shows up 10 years from now. You don't want it then, but they will always bring it. They will still bring it. It may be later than you expected because they brought you something else in between.
So how do you know that you are actually tapping into the forces of the light, the angels that you're talking about? Because we know that there are different types of forces. So is there a protection you do over yourself
There
before
is, but
you?
it all gets down to energy. So everybody's
Mm,
walked into a funeral, right? You feel that low vibration, that low energy. Everybody's crying, right? And everybody's walked into a wedding or a birthday party and felt that high vibration, right? So you have to start recognizing what energy feels like. Just like when somebody walks in the room and you get this heebie-jeebie creepy, ugh, that's energy. Okay, you have to recognize energy. So that's the first thing, excuse me, because when you're talking to the angels and your guides from the other side, they're very high vibration, very high. So your vibration will automatically rise and you'll pick up on their high vibration, very, very high. But yes, absolutely, you want to protect yourself. And again, you've got to ask the angels. If you don't ask, they can't help. That's their rule. So Archangel Michael will protect you. Ask him to protect you from any lower vibrational entities, any attachments, any harm. And picture yourself in a bubble if you want to, so that you're protected. But
mm.
when you open yourself up to the universe, you always want to protect yourself because you're opening yourself up for good and evil.
So how, and this is, the final question to kind of wrap up our whole conversation to come back full circle, because I think one of the underlying themes in everything we've been talking about is self-knowledge, because the more you know yourself, the more you can see the patterns that you have, which in turn show you the lessons that you need to learn. And that feeds into your relationships and how you conduct yourself in relationships. So, how can we connect with our higher self, that part of us that knows what's in our best interest, so we can start to make the right decisions, take the right action, and also ask the universe, God, for
Meditation. Meditate. That's how you connect
meditation?
with your soul. It's the fastest, easiest way to connect with your soul through meditation. And it's so important that I put the correct directions in all of my books. You want to sit for 20 minutes 3 times a day, no more, no less, and connect with your soul.
Yeah. Yeah. Please, guys, check out the book for instructions on that, because you're very particular about not going past 20 minutes because
So
we
the
need to stay
reason for
grounded.
that, yeah, so the reason for that is this, because until you really a good at what you do, it's going to take you 18 to 19 minutes to really connect with your soul. And you'll feel it when you connect with your soul. But longer than that, until again, you're good at what you do, you will get ungrounded. And for people that don't understand what that means, it means you're going to walk around like an airhead all day long. Did I do the laundry? Am I supposed to be somewhere? Did I forget to go to work? Did I put shoes on? That's being ungrounded.
You're the only person I've ever heard that said that it's important to protect yourself while in meditation. Most people I've never
No, they
heard
don't. They
say
don't
that.
teach it. They don't tell you. And when you open yourself up for the universe, it is dangerous. And I literally have had two students that got full-blown possessions because they did not follow directions. And so everything that's happening in this world, everybody thinks it's all this political stuff, right? It's got nothing to do with politics. It plays out in politics, just like money shows you if you're in balance, right? It plays out in politics. It's all about good and evil. God wants your soul, the devil wants your soul. That's the prize. And the more pure of a heart you have, the more target you are to evil. And I can't tell you how many people that contact me that have possession, they have attachments. I see people with attachments. I have people come to me with attachments. It looks like they got a dark shadow having a piggyback ride on their back because it wants your body to take over because they don't have a body. They're demonic. It's dangerous to open yourself up without protection. And even, I don't care if what you're doing or where you're going, they're out there everywhere. I see them. Most people don't. If you ever saw what I saw, it'd be like an episode of The Walking Dead. So I tell everybody, wear some type of religious talisman that you've had blessed. If you walk into a bar or a restaurant, this is where they congregate, places that are fun, that have music, because that's where they went when they were alive. And if they see something on you, this is the medical insignia, it's a kundalini. They will go to somebody else because they don't want the fight from you. If you're religious, they're not going to fight you. So they'll go to somebody else and they'll attach to them.
Thank you for saying that. I think that's very important. I know that I said one last question, but this is the final question. So, in this day and age, I'm sure you've noticed as well that there's a lot of strife between men and women. And I know that it's always been sort of that way since the dawn of time, but especially when it comes to relationships and really just understanding what each other needs and the expectations and stuff. So, I'm talking more from like a collective karmic dance. Have you gotten any insight on spirit regarding that and if that's supposed to propel us in a certain sort of evolutionary trajectory?
So there's not supposed to be strife. You
Mm,
came here to play a role. Bottom line. If you came here to be a female, then that's the role you should be playing. If you came to be a lesbian, then that's the role you should be playing. But each lesbian has more male energy than the other. Are you the male or the female in there? Still the role you're supposed to be playing, whether you're the masculine or the feminine. And this is what people forget. Guys go out and expect you to pay for dinner. No, there's an energy exchange here. You're taking away his masculinity when you do that. You reincarnate each lifetime as male and female. So I came through the last few lifetimes as male and brought too much of that energy into this lifetime. So my first marriage, if something had to get done around the house, I was the first one to pick up a hammer. I was the general contractor that built the house. I did all the tile work. And by doing that, I demasculated my husband. I took his opportunity away from him to play the role of the man, which he came through to do. So we all have a role to play, and people forget that, and they keep crossing borders. They keep taking that opportunity away from the other person. Men having babies? No, women have babies. If you wanted to have babies, you should have come here as a woman. It's that simple. Next time you reincarnate, come back as a woman. You can't keep crossing those boundaries here. You came here for a reason. Play the role that you came here to play.
mm.
If you know in your soul that you came here in this body because you wanted to experience what it was to be homosexual, then fine. That's the role you chose to play here. But again, are you the masculine or are you the feminine? That's the difference. Play one or the other.
Fascinating conversation, June. And again, with these conversations, we can go down much deeper
A
rabbit
lot of rabbit
holes.
holes.
But we try to keep it, as concise as possible. I have to ask you, have you shifted in perspective on anything recently?
Yeah, I have actually. my life is becoming more fluid than I thought it was. I thought it was more settled than it is. And I've realized that where you live and where you are, it's all just part of the journey. It really doesn't matter where you are or where you live, as long as you're happy where you're at.
Thank you so much for sharing that, June. Where can people find you if they want to work with you, learn more about you, or purchase your book?
So my book's available everywhere, but the easiest way to find anything, because I do have 4 books, is on my website, JuneEdward.com. There's no S in there, it's just JuneEdward.com. I do have a retreat that's going out on a cruise. It's Norwegian Epic, going out March 1st for 7 nights. And I'm going to be doing 4 workshops on that cruise: mediumship and psychic development, an introduction to the destiny cards. I'm going to be doing introduction and a review, because a lot of my students will be on that cruise for the relationship mastery program. And I'm going to be doing a mediumship gallery as well, if anybody wants to talk to any of their loved ones that are on the other side. It's going to be a lot of fun. If anybody's interested, they can find information on my website for that as well. And if they want to schedule an appointment with me, they're more than welcome to do that as well.
Amazing. I'm going to leave the link to your website in the show notes. It's been a pleasure once again, June. Thank you so much for stopping by the show.
Oh, you're very welcome.